Alrighty. Um, so, yes, next, and this is, I guess, all part of a larger discussion here. I decided to check out Zero Parades,
Oh, good.
so that I could see what was going on. Zero Parades for Dead Spies by Zaum. Check this out off camera as well, and it is an interesting thing to
It's definitely
it's an
interesting.
interesting thing to look at this, because it yeah, it gives me it's you're watching this game that is, you know the history of it, so you know what energy you're going to take going in, but um as you're playing it, so we talked about it before. You mentioned you can see the parts where, hey, look, this is the exact room from Disco Elysium you remember. Here's the part where you walk outside and there's a boat by the side, and you have a conversation with a dude on a boat off to the left. And
Mhm.
here's the rooms and the scenes and the moments, and here's the closed studio that's all in the dark over here, and all the little bits of disco that are echoing something that you're already familiar with, right? Um, and that's all there, and you're like, okay, you can see what cleanly is just lifted. And hey, do you remember this thing? Please like what you're getting here. We're trying to we're trying to remind you of the thing you liked. Please enjoy it, right?
Mhm.
But then outside of that, you go, okay, so what else is happening? You have a setting that's, being established with, the world and the politics, the different factions. They're all taking you on these journeys as they're establishing what each thing is. The character you're playing as is the spy that's a fuck up and is more self-serious than Harry is. Um, but overall, you're going through this presentation that, is it has the bits and pieces, but has these moments of like, you're going on a tangent here, and I know that this is lacking the soul of, what disco was going for, but
Pardon me.
what is most remarkable about this whole thing, I played a couple hours of it, right? So
Mhm.
I went a good
I played about 25 minutes.
okay. I went a good ways in.
Mhm.
I didn't beat it, but there's a lot to
Mhm.
go talk to and figure out there. Um, the thing about it that's most remarkable is that it's fine, right? In that the assets are nice, the art is well made, the music is great,
Yeah, I
is
would say
good.
so.
There's some voice acting that's not present because it's placeholder, but some that's there is good too. Some of the tangents they go on are interesting. Some of them are not. Some of them feel like you're being quirky for quirk's sake, but others are presenting ideas of a setting that might be interesting to learn about. It's all there, it's all competent, and if this were someone that you never heard of making a game, you would come into this going, huh,
You'd be like,
okay,
"Oh,
okay,
okay.
there's some interesting stuff here. Let's
Yeah."
see where you're going with this. It is only knowing the history of this
It's a very strange
that
feeling.
presents the problem. It's only because you know the story that there's an issue here. I think, yeah, because I think it would be disingenuous to come in and go, "What a piece of shit!" Right? Look at this
Absolutely
garbage.
not. That's patently
That
unfair.
would be a lie. It is not. It is a functioning, fine video game that is an RPG that is echoing Disco Elysium style and trying to offer more of the product that you consumed and enjoyed, because we are the license holders that hold it. But you, and because it's just based on knowing the deal, that makes that weird feeling ever present in it. Um, and like the fact that you're gonna something a thread you might not question where you're like, oh, that conversation just seemed a little pointless, or you're trying to be weird but you didn't really go anywhere, or that charm was kind of missing there. You might not pull a magnifying glass out for those moments, but because you know the story of Zaum here, you are willing to do that and put this under the microscope. And for all the creative people and the writers and the artists or whatever that are all working on this, it's under the shadow of this stolen work and shitty energy. And I was bringing this up when I was talking about it yesterday, but it's kind of like when we talk about the AI art analogy. because the idea of objecting to it because look how wonky it looks and looks so stupid, haha, is the wrong
Misses
idea.
the point.
You missed the point. The point is not that, because it's going to eventually get good enough to fool you. So don't focus on that. It's the fact that a person didn't make this, right? And so here, this is going to be something where we know the deal and people we're talking to here probably as well. But I think that it'll also, at large, probably be something that people who've heard about this Disco Elysium thing that was a pretty fun game. Oh, here comes the next one. Oh, cool. We're going to play it. It'll make its money. It'll probably end up being just fine. Not everyone is hanging on.
Be a good game.
Yeah, not everyone is hanging off the news and more or less, or getting into the dev stories behind the scenes. And like this ended up being a bit of a discussion with chat yesterday about like how much people know about this stuff versus just us diving in, because part of our jobs is covering these things. But
the average person doesn't know about Disco Elysium either.
And it was and so this was the bubble we're in. It was perfectly encapsulated by the fact that Reggie walked in and sat down and was like, "So what's the deal with this one again?" Right? And I had to recap him on the deal with Zero Parades. And he was like, oh, yeah, okay, right. And he sat there through the entire Disco Elysium playthrough and loved it. And it was just like, yeah, I don't know. This is the next Zao. Okay, is it good? And it's like, well, no, but it's like, that's not the point. The problem is that it was stolen and the people and the credit. And it's like, oh, yeah, okay.
It's the whole thing.
So
we're going to talk a lot about theft today.
So somebody who... is other people that I know that I've talked to, that I've told about Disco Elysium, and other people that I've gotten in, might just as similarly kind of go, oh yeah, it's the new thing from those folks. Okay, cool. And just leave it at that. And that's enough for the game to make its money, exist, be successful, be a solid game, whatever. Like that's
absolutely
that, so we're in a world where like nothing about what's being shown to you is going to betray in an obvious manner like the problem with the game. It's all going to be based on what you know about the story,
So I've had two like thoughts kicking around in my head. The first of which is that when you play Disco Elysium very early, I mean before leaving the room, but definitely by the time you get to talk to Kuno, you get this overwhelming sense, like few games have ever made me feel, that the people who are making it, they don't just have something to say, they have so much to say, it is exploding out of them.
Bursting at the seams, uncontained, absolutely.
Like they oh my God, they have many, many things of note they want to talk about.
And go see more of that energy reading the fucking Eternal Summer Manifesto,
Right. And when I played Zero Parades, and to be fair, I only got about 20, 25 minutes in.
Yeah.
I got the overwhelming feeling that their bosses told them to make another Disco Elysium.
Yep, that's true.
Like that was like my takeaway, is that the core artistic like scream coming out of that game is, I want to keep my job and make a video game.
So while that is the case, and that is definitely present and there, I played about 4.5 hours of it, and there's moments where you meet this like angry hipstery old man that sells music and is going on about the majesty of this particular format that's so interesting to listen to, that it's this self-erasing disc that is never meant to be played, and it's the ultimate hipster format of music that can only be played once, and it goes down it explores this whole idea of that, right? And that is related to the dude who you find who's zeroed out on the couch because whatever, the music is erased, and if you go into that, you have these moments of tapping into the inland empire and the spirituality of your character, connecting to other worlds and other things. And, it's doing those bits, right? There's other moments where you have characters who are being like, there's your authoritarian, but this time, instead of blue authoritarian, it's your red authoritarian on the wall communist. There's not enough bricks to receive the bullets of the people that we need to line up on them. And then there's the cop who's just like, hey man, can't people just be okay with things being decent for a little bit? things are fine, you know? And it has these things of like, yeah, there's characters here that may or may not want to say something, and writers that may or may not want to say something, but above them all is the light-bending moneylender who is ultimately bending the light to make this whole world exist. And that is the foundation of the game you're playing is built on that, and you can't ignore that part.
I foresee this game being a fairly good tasting facsimile of the best hot dog I've ever eaten in my life.
Is that the word of the week?
Facsimile?
It might be. We're on
I don't know.
We're on U6.
Oh no. Oh no.
I'm going to say that the most likely timeline we end up with, and ultimately the one that will be the probably the most depressing, but thus the most disco, is there is no true successor. Disco's a moment, and it happened, and it was a one and done. And what we're gonna get, right, is you got Zero Parades for Dead Spies over here, Zaum doing what it can to be like, hey, please continue to give us the money you remember. Also check out the Amazon series that's not gonna happen, and a billion other things we can do with this IP, happen. Right? You got Tangerine Antarctic, formerly known as XXX Night Shift. And that's a couple of the people that were at Zaum going to found Dark Math.
But it needs to be the whole.
And they're gonna do what they can. But you know, who knows what that'll end up being. Similarly, you've got Hopetown and that's Longdew. That's a couple of other people that are like former staffers and folks, and they've got Lenval Brown with them on that Kickstarter, and it was successful. So they we'll see what that becomes. But who the fuck knows, right? Eternal Summer is out here screaming, and we don't know if they actually have anyone around that can make a video game. But I hope they track one down, because the energy is cool, but how to convert that into actual product is difficult. And then you've got Red Info, which is where Curvitz actually ended up, and their project is called Corinthians. You know, so this whole thing is exploded into all these places that it'll never be the same again, and nor should we expect it to. But if all of these things come out and end up being disco-like games that are fine, I feel like that's the most likely timeline we're on, and it'll just be this kind of weird, like, oh, disco kind of became a commodity. Here we are.
Well, I think
it always was, but
I think what really matters the most
true to form
is that
Joy stays
the most
correct.
Disco possibility that could possibly happen is that all the successors of the movement all scramble and fight and scrape and kick and spit on one another, fighting for the title of the true heir. And the true heir is likely completely unrelated to all of them in any way whatsoever.
Because there's no...
Please tell me how much you liked Esoteric Ebb.
Esoteric Ebb is great. And Esoteric Ebb, but here's the thing, because I can see the setup and the tee off to slam dunk this and to go that's the one who takes the torch. And I go, no, not really. It's doing its own thing. It loves disco and takes that form, but it's also...
That's my point.
Yeah, but it also loves Planescape Torment, and it's also just off doing its own bit. We don't need to...
It loves Planescape Torment, dude.
You know, it really does. It really does. And we don't need to force the mantle onto it, because I think it's like, nah, it's very clear that it's a fan of the thing, and it's doing something else, but it's great.
No, that's my point. Like, my point is that the mantle goes to that which does not want it.
Or care.
Right? Mm-hmm. So the most interesting thing about Esoteric Ebb is that it started out as a Planescape Torment fan game.
Mm-hmm.
In 2018.
Mm-hmm.
And then Disco came out a year plus later. So the writing of this game started based off of Planescape Torment. But the structure was then later adapted to disco structure.
In fact, what I was saying is that I feel it's painfully obvious, but you can tell this is a living, detailed D&D setting that somebody came up with a long time ago, and probably played lots of campaigns with their friends in it, and they have a Bible of this stuff, and they've been working on a way to turn this into a game, and then Disco presented the container format.
Here's the nuts and bolts of how to actually have this dialogue happen.
And we're going to take these ingredients that already existed and put it through the Disco Elysium juicer to get that way of interfacing with this world. And it's an entertaining way to interface with the world, so it worked out great. So yeah, I played Esoteric Ebb yesterday, and it was definitely the most enjoyment I've had from, you know, this post-disco world. And I really thought that, like, you know, taking the classic high fantasy D&D setting of like the stats that you would know and stuff, and adding the, you know, the voices in your head bit to it, the fact that you're this cleric and yeah, exactly, you're not pulling the helmet off, and every character you're talking to is what I will say is that this feels like a much smaller game, but as a result, every character is a fleshed out encounter discussion. It feels like in order to make the indie game version of a disco thing work here, which, you know, of course disco was to begin with, but even smaller in scale, I'm imagining, you want each of these characters to be someone you're talking to for half an hour, you know?
Yeah,
and
so it, like, disco was the Warren Spector game inside a city block, but like, you know, depth of the ocean but wide as a puddle kind of thing. And Ebb feels like it's like, no, smaller, tighter, deeper, even smaller.
Because, you know, talking to Call Me Mañana is not the same as talking to Kuno or Evrart, right?
Yeah.
Kuno and Evrart are fucking full-on experiences.
Get your fucking ass in the good spot in the couch.
You can fucking hit that for an hour, you know? And sure enough, Esoteric Ebb, it was like you wake up off the table, you're in the zombie dungeon, and it took like 45 minutes of just getting up and wandering around that basement before I got upstairs. And because we're also reading out the lines and doing the voice acting with each thing, it's taking a little bit extra long as opposed to reading through it.
I spoke to a guy at Raw Fury. He sent me a code, and I was like, I played the demo. This game seems really special. You should give Chris more money for voice acting. And the official response that I gathered from Raw Fury was,
Yeah. No, at the end of the stream, the dev came over to the chat and was like, "Hey, thanks for playing the game." And we're like, "Oh, okay, cool, no problem. That was great." Voice acting.
So he actually, Chris responded and was like, "It's expensive.
It is very expensive."
That's it.
Yeah, but
like that, but very straightforward.
But it saved Disco Elysium.
Disco came out twice. Because when I looked it up, I was like, Disco came out in 2019.
Sure did. And that first experience with it was me reading through, talking out loud for an hour, going, "Oh boy, I don't think this is going to work." And I know we would like to believe that the text-only experience is all you need for a game that's good to be successful, but seeing it and having it go through word of mouth on different channels, on different Twitch, on YouTube, and spreading, etc., with the voice acting and taking and people approaching it more willingly, made a huge difference in how much that game spread. So
yeah,
don't discount that. It was a massive deal when the final cut came out, and then the game exploded because you could see the potential there, but a lot of people were just not willing to actually engage. It was huge.
So as the primary form of game advertisement that currently exists, you and I, it has actually become kind of astonishing for story-based games how much full voice acting like adds to the word of mouth / like knowledge of the game's existence, right? So like Pentiment is an incredible game that I never even heard of anyone streaming it, because it's like, it is just much like Planescape Torment, much like Disco, much like Ebb, million fucking words, Just fucking endless oodles of fucking texts. Can't do it. Me, you, and Paige all streamed Disco Elysium in 2019, and we got to like the body, and all of us called it quits after like 90 minutes to 2.5 hours with shredded throats, going, "Wow, what a cool game."
And I think, you know, as I can see, some folks might disagree here. The more accurate descriptor on that is Disco Elysium without the final cut and without the voice acting would have been a profitable, successful, obscure game that was like people would talk about, and it would be not super huge, but it'd be great, and it'd be a darling, and it'd be like a sleeper hit. I think the final cut is what brought it to a major level of like awareness and success. You know, it was it's the level it was at before was a moderate level of success comparable to other indie games that we like that other people don't really know about.
Can I hold up my hand for a second? Somebody in the chat says, by the way, large streamer Joseph Anderson, who I'm a fan of, also streamed Disco and Pentiment without any voice acting.
Wow.
Have you seen a Joseph Anderson video?
No.
It's unshocking. He puts out like 8-hour like video reviews of like games like Witcher.
Holy shit. Okay.
Like that man can talk.
Okay.
That man also has time to save because he pisses in the sink. Okay.
Oh my God. Okay.
So like,
okay.
I don't like, yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I don't have the gumption.
So what I
piss in toilets.
So what I can say is that I've deliberately worked on the ability to do games that are text heavy so that I could be able to approach something like this and handle it.
You have definitely like strengthened up your thrusy.
I was yes. It was training.
But to be fair, you do have the ready tag.
Yes.
From your buddy.
100%.
Caboose doesn't help.
No. How did you approach it?
Which one?
Ebb.
I played the demo for 40 minutes.
Oh, okay.
and then I switched to a different demo.
Gotcha. Okay.
Then I think I played Life of a Goldman after.
Okay. Because yeah, doing a full day of it, like at the end we were like, whoo, you know?
Yeah.
And I was just tired enough that morning too, that like as the different stats were kicking in, I'm like, I can't even come up with or keep track of voices on these right now. Like eventually it settled into place as I got my caffeine and felt better. But the beginning of playing it, I'm like, oh man, dude, like I'm going to take, you take, I don't know, whatever, just wing it. And then eventually things settled into place.
Somebody fucking say something.
Yeah. And there'll be times where it's like, you know, I'll be like, okay, like off camera, I'll go like this and Reggie will go for it. Or sometimes it'll be like, okay, he's like, he picked int and I picked an int character. And then he was doing a bunch of lines where you click on the extra context and int wouldn't shut the fuck up and started becoming Wikipedia. So I'm like, all right, let me save you. We'll alternate between int lines because this nerdy, stupid build won't shut the fuck up, you know? Yeah, we got the fun, unintentional double fash combo of big strength, big int, you know, fash is...
Int's crazy.
Fash is awesome, and I'm the only one that should be allowed.
me and Paige loaded the game up, and she built a cleric, and we ran through the intro and getting off the table, and then I ran a different cleric that I did in the demo. There's a lot of variability.
There's 18 subclasses. You have all the stats, which they brilliantly give you. You have a big text wall for the full description of what each stat does. But then if you want to just get to the brass tacks, you've got a bold, does this, does that, and then an even further bullet point, you know, to get the feel of it. And then underneath, you've got these backstories that are all just like bonus points. And it's got 18 variants because it's taking each stat and giving you +2/+1 combinations of all of them, you know? Wow, the variability of that. It is so much going into a builder that is... I mean, it's not Baldur's Gate fucking 3, you know what I mean?
No, but it's definitely... There's more, like... Disco Elysium is a Trotsky novel masquerading as a video game, right? Esoteric Ebb has like some fucking video game in there.
Yeah. Yeah, you get into fights, you do stuff. Absolutely.
You get into fights,
Mhm.
there's a combat system, there's the spell system, there's subclasses.
Something interesting too about Disco and because I was reminded of this while playing Zero Parades is that like uh it also is something that if you're not someone that read a bunch of books or is or so it kind of trains you or gets you used to like prose and and the idea of like when you're going through text at large, sometimes scenes will be sometimes you'll cut away to places and moments and things that you can't see depicted, and it's just describing it to you, you know. And moments of world building are happening that your imagination is basically carrying you forward. But if you were the movie of this is playing out simultaneously elsewhere, but you know, while you continue to stare at the current scene. So Esoteric Ebb is not really doing that. It's very much in the present. But at least from the high int stat, what you're getting is every time a word is said, you're getting a Wikipedia on what the history of that
is
race or war or
is that int?
Int.
Or is that like the specific stat you're talking
int.
about?
That's int that's doing it.
Oh, that
right. Int is encyclopedia.
Of course it is.
And a lot of the time it's bringing up, you know, historical context, and sometimes it's going into
bringing up a bunch of bullshit
that like we know what okay, shut the fuck up, int, right? And then you've got the whole political element of like each stat is a party that you can lean in on. But it took like it took like 3 hours to get out of that basement and see the outside, you know, and that was 4 conversations later.
Yeah.
So that's the way this game is gonna go. Is there's a dude up top the stairs, there's a person right outside the door, and another person underneath that, and each of those is an Everart length conversation you're gonna go through. And if you're in the mood to have that joust, you know, then great. Like this is gonna deliver all the fun of what you enjoyed about Disco with this own high fantasy D&D style system, and affecting your outcomes and relationships and so on. But I feel, and this is just a guess, I feel like if you want maps and sprawling environments, this is not going to be that. This is not going to be that place. And my impression is that Planescape is like at times just big dungeon go, right? Not every moment is about conversing to the nth degree. Sometimes you're going to just walk past some zombies and skeletons and zap them. I don't know how much this game is going to really do that, you know?
It's a lot closer to Disco than it is to Planescape in that respect.
Real fun stuff going on there, and I guess the bits that you're left with, I feel like, are like, okay, every one you're talking to is a quirky D&D style monster, character, race, etc. That
a little bit of a stand up in a lot of cases.
In what way?
Like they're pastiches.
Sure, I mean
they're archetypes.
So yeah, like when you walk out and you see,
like the stats themselves are archetypes of the types of characters people would play.
100%. So when you see cool buff orc lady, you're like, yeah, if you're playing this game, you're probably gonna dig that. Like anyone who boots this game up is probably super down for handsome orc lady, you know, and the bait that gets laid immediately after the conversation with her begins. And yeah, we take that bait. That's fine. We know what we're walking into. But what I was surprised by too is, I guess it was like, you know, by the end of the session, it was like, oh, someone joined my party. And, you know, like you have Kim in Disco and stuff, like there is a party, but I kind of was reminded like, oh yeah, like the cover of this game's art shows you a cleric and a goblin and another person, and like you're probably gonna a D&D party is gonna go out and do a thing, you know. So yeah, I'm looking forward to checking out a bit more of that when I get a chance. But I'm also wondering if, you know, is weight maxing the right play here? You know, this might be a situation where weight maxing is the right move. I don't know.
I think I don't fucking know. I I looked up the how long to beat, and it's approximately the same size as Disco. Ish.
Interesting.
And I'm like, Disco took a long time. Even though it says it doesn't. Like, how long to beat is made by people who don't voice act the fucking dialogue.
Yes, exactly.
They just read it. Or in some cases don't read it at all.
Or click through, skip through, or quickly read, internalize, and keep moving. And to be fair, like playing Baldur's Gate 3, for example, I know that no one, even on your own time, is reading all that flavor text. No one is. It is impossible. There's just
Millennium is,
you know, I mean, every book you pick up, every single highlight of every object in every journal, get the fuck out of here. You're not doing that. You're surfing on the gist. I
gotta tell you, I know a couple people in this chat live right now that absolutely do for surezies.
Okay.
But they're non-human entities.
I feel like the intended consumption at some point is like read until you're tired and then move on. You know?
Intent is not of note here. There's a guy in here that's beaten Baldur's Gate 3 like fucking 14 times. Right. Yeah, that guy reads all the books.
Right. Anyway, so I'm gonna decide how to approach this, but what I will say is that, hey, this cool little fan thing that is doing its own, you know, send up of genres that it loves, then this creator that loves D&D, Planescape, and Disco made a fun indie game that's worth checking out and buying, Esoteric Ebb. And boy, does it love the word esoteric.
Oh, yeah.
You know, instead of calling things arcane, things are just called esoteric. And, like, I want to say we voiced that out maybe, like, 20 times yesterday. You know? But, yeah, it was fun. And I also say it was rewarding to fail through. Because that's the other thing I wanted to like, kind of test is I'm like, okay, playing this on the streamer brain means content push, means, you know, run into failure and see what happens. And because you're playing a Disco, like, you're also hoping that you'll trip over the wheelchair and give the double deuces on the way down.
Yeah.
But I can say here that it was definitely rewarding to fail through, and it paid off for, you know, failing checks as well as succeeding in them. So plus it was nice to see a lot of people in chat freak out going, oh my god, this scene went completely different for me.
Yeah, no, that's always very, very uplifting. It's like, ooh, that's exciting if I ever want to go through it again.
So in the end, you know, Disco epilogue, who the fuck cares? It happened, and then now new things will happen, and let's enjoy the good ones.
You don't understand. We have to be the successors.
Let's enjoy the good ones and ignore the nothings, and that's it. I really do.
It took decades for somebody to come up with the successor to Planescape Torment, and it definitely had nothing to do with fucking D&D. It was about drug abuse.
I really, really hope that somewhere someone comes along and just, you know how we said producers do multiple things?
They do. It's true.
Right? Sometimes it's the yapper that does nothing and puts the name on the credits, and other times
and comes in and goes, "Hey, I played a new game this weekend. I have some ideas."
In fact, my nephew has some ideas based on the phone games they've been playing. When are you going to put those in? Or there's the can you turn all this energy, can you harness it into a direction, right? And right now we have Summer Eternal, which is a blazing hot inferno, and we just need someone to contain it and make it a laser? Can we concentrate it into a laser? You know, I hope so.
The most important thing a good producer can do is when somebody comes in and goes, I have an idea for a new feature that I think I can make on my own time. And they go, can you test it and do all the assets for it on your own time also? And they go, no. And then they go, then we're going to be late. So get out of my office. No, you're not putting it in.
I mean, I'm a fan of absolutely great idea. I'll get right on that.
Absolutely. And that's how you end up in a situation where Nagoshi goes, oops, we need 44 million fucking dollars.
No! Gang of Dragon, no. We'll get there.